So kind of going back to, I know we talked a lot about COVID and the vaccines, and we talked a lot about mistrust that black people have for doctors and healthcare. I think that mistrust can be brought to kind of all aspects of life and, government, right? And you saw some of the reasons for that mistrust because all summer, all quarantine, we had protests and things like that trying to, support support Black Lives Matter and, protesting police brutality and things like that. And we saw the way that police treated us.
Right.
Now, fast forward to, a Trump rally that turned into a riot,
right,
and taking over the Capitol, right? So not a peaceful protest, turned a riot, a literal breaking into a government facility that should be
an insurrection.
Nobody should be, breaking into, and we saw the way that they were treated. They were let in, they were walked in and walked out.
They were literally treated.
So I think that speaks to a lot of that mistrust right there, and I thought that was a good thing for us to get into and talk about a little bit. And just what were the feelings that you had in watching that? I think it was surreal for everybody, but what were some of the feelings that you had in watching that, and some of the thoughts that you've had now that you've had some time to really digest it and think about it? We'll start with you, Esquire.
I mean, I think it's funny a little bit, but also like
we have to laugh at our pain. I feel like sometimes.
Well, I mean, technically, like it wasn't our pain, so to speak. Mm-hmm. It was a reflection of what we've always known, right? Like, and the one thing that I think that bothers me about it is I feel like America is fine with, the microaggressions, the daily covert racism. The one thing America hates is when their dirty laundry is uncovered. And I feel like this was America's dirty laundry being
absolutely
uncovered. And like, it's like we've been trying to tell y'all this forever. Like, that these people are not patriots. They're not, like, they're terrorists. Like, they've been terrorizing us for centuries. They pass it down to their children, and now their children are turning on y'all because they think that Donald Trump somehow lost the election. I mean, should have won the election or whatever, or lost it, fraudulently or whatever. And it's like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, it was an insurrection. I think if they would have gone as far as they could. I particularly think that the woman who tried to climb into the window to get to the other.
Oh God.
With 2 kids, like, you came down here and sacrificed your life for some bullshit. And I mean, like, like Trump he lost. Like, and I don't even understand. I mean, the arguments were stupid against it. It's America's dirty laundry, honestly. And, that's where we at.
Yeah, I was like in ways a little happy that it occurred because there have still throughout this time been those, that contingency of people who likes to say, like racism is not really there, that these discrepancies in how police treat us don't really truly exist, right? That was a whole thing during the whole Black Lives Matter movement. I would creep through the comments on Instagram and I'd write a long response and then I delete it because I'm like, why am I wasting my energy on these people? But like, so many people tried to talk about how, statistically this is not a real thing, that there's not really a discrepancy. Oh, if you just comply, right? There's all these people with these comments, and then we have a perfect example of how there's this huge discrepancy in how we were treated. So and part of me was actually like kind of happy that like it was there on display for the world to see, because yeah, like America needs to realize like our shit does stink, and we need to be called out for that. So for the every other country to kind of leave commentary on what happened, and for us to be humiliated like that, and to see like literally that was a complete national security risk and threat right there. Like that's to the complete stability of our nation. And so it's not to be taken lightly. And for me, I was actually concerned that it might be a sign that like it was just a warning shot almost kind of situation. So I was really happy when the inauguration that just took place went through without a hitch, because I was actually a little worried that there might be another demonstration, because most of them, not most, but many of them came armed, right, and ready for like civil war and wanted that.
Right.
And my question watching that too is like, when did patriotism become synonymous with white supremacy? Like, or has it always been that way?
Yeah,
right?
The country was founded on that.
But this is also why I appreciate the Trump presidency as well, because I think it highlights that. It highlights the fact that like we always wanted, like, even just the saying "Make America Great Again." It was like, it's almost like, it's like KKK, but just like
it's make
covert.
America white again.
It's make America white again.
Keep white supremacy at the forefront.
And that's really what you're trying to say. And I think most of us knew that. And I'm hoping that some of the more reasonable of our white American counterparts can realize that like it's been synonymous with that all along. But yeah, it was a scary thing to see. I'm just happy that the Trump presidency is over. Welcoming on a new team and hopefully new progress within America.
What about you, Dolo?
I mean, I loved it. I loved every second of it. I mean,
You were there, right?
I wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I didn't even watch it in real time, but when I saw, I loved it.
You watched it after.
Yeah, I saw the highlights. I saw their highlight reel, and just those are crackers. Like, that was white trash. Like, those were the crackers of our country. Like,
I cannot.
not all white folks are crackers. Just like all black folks ain't niggas. But those out there, those are the crackers. That was like, they just showed their ass. They like you said, they pulled the Band-Aid off and just exposed to the masses what a lot of us already know, that it's a different set of rules for us and for them, and there's a disparity how we treat it versus how they treat it. They were literally let right in. I mean, a lot of people are calling them terrorists, and I get when people.
That's terrorism.
I get what people are saying, but even that's giving them even too much credit. Even terrorists are a little more intelligent and a little more calculated, a little more strategic, a little more purposeful about how they carry out things. They were just like they called us thugs when we was out there peacefully protesting. Yeah, they was just thug ass crackers.
That was doing
some cracker
shit. That was Antifa.
Right. That was a joke. They got in there. They got in there and had no game plan. Like, just got in there and literally just started incriminating themselves. I
loved it.
They show what terrible criminals they are.
When the FBI posts those little like memos, like, we're looking for this person, I love it because of the social media age too. Like, these kids, like these parents, like these folks that were out there, their kids are turning them in. Like, and that's the part that's hilarious to me.
The crazy thing,
like, mom, ain't this shit?
that's the thing. That's why I think like it's not the racism that's driving it. That's the problem. It's the fact that their dirty laundry was aired. Like, that is what has Mitch McConnell and all these Lindsey Graham and all these guys finally like, all right,
saying something.
That's enough is enough, because it's like they really believed that Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, they were the ones that were rallying these people up to think that there was actually some legitimate question to the election. And it's like, now that they've exposed what this actually leads to, like, your underlying sentiment is racism. Like, that's what is fueling Donald Trump. That's
people
what
out there with the Confederate flag.
That's what the Republican Party feeds off of. And now that we know that, and it's been made clear, it's like, and the fact that there's law enforcement officers who
complicit,
fire people. Like, so now you've got all of these people that have been telling you, black people have been telling you, like, yo, these dudes be profiling, these dudes are racist, these dudes, and look, lo and behold, they showing up to the Capitol to wage some crazy war that they had no chance of winning, but thought that they could, because they thought that their white privilege was going to allow them to really go up in the Capitol and get away with sitting in Nancy Pelosi's desk and stealing
They thought they were going to go home
right
after taking their pictures and proceed with their normal American life.
But that is one of the things, is they did get to go home.
They did go home. They did.
There was a consequence after. We don't get to go home
at all.
Nah.
We don't get nowhere
near
that
I mean,
far.
for sure, many of us would have they would have been in ERs with their face blown off from rubber bullets,
or in morgues,
or in morgues, or would have some illegal chokehold would have been used on them.
We get killed for way
for
less,
much less. And I mean, that was the part that was ridiculous, but also, like, again, Black people always finding humor in these situations. But, you know, they were like, do you ever see Miley Cyrus and Hannah Montana on stage at the same time, in reference to, like, well, where were the cops at? Well, they out there. They're out there. And I think that for me, again, that's why part of me was a little bit like happy to see it occur, because it's like we needed our dirty laundry to be aired to kind of enact change. And, you know, it's a sign that we definitely need some police reform, you know, because the majority of them align with a certain line of thinking. And I think I sent you guys the link the other day in the group chat, but like, the, you know, LA Sheriff's Department being pro, like, that's awesome to me, because that, like, they're investigating these kind of like racist groups and everything, which people have been talking about for decades. So I'm happy that hopefully this actually, you know, will lead something to some change, some real change.
The state attorney general's office is looking into them. But yeah, but I mean, to your point, yes, like, I mean, these dudes, it's racism. The one thing I will say though that I don't like is the comparisons to Black Lives Matter beyond
that irritated me.
Just the, you know, the fact that they were the way we get treated when we protest versus the way they were being treated. But like, I understand that comparison, but like this idea that shutting these people down is going to infringe on, you know, our rights to freedom or our free speech and stuff like that. Like, not these are like isolated insurrectionists that really tried to overthrow the government. Like, you know, I mean,
a democratic process,
right?
Like impeding that process.
There was no question about its legitimacy. Like, Black Lives Matter are marching because police are shooting people in cold blood, unarmed, and exacting violence against poor and Black people, brown people in communities of you know, where the police are there supposed to protect and serve. Like, it's a different issue.
One is an issue and one's not.
Right. Completely.
One is we lost. We didn't get our way. We're going to do this. Right. But I think that's a really good point, Esquire. That's a really good point. And I think for me, it's just going to be interesting to see how we look at this 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Like, I always love to see, like, but when things like this happen, like, what is it going to look like in the history books when our kids are in school? Like, is this glossed over?
And they better tell the truth.
You know what I mean?
I'm telling that story. I've seen it.
Right.
So I think it's important to know that, like, a lot of what we learn in school obviously isn't what we should have learned in school. So we have to have that knowledge, and we have to be able to inform our kids and inform the younger generations of how things actually happened, and
absolutely,
you know, things like that. So we're hoping it creates some change.
That's why I got to write his book, document all this.
Right.